Hello and welcome to Chicken Chats. We're so glad you're here. We're here celebrating chicken all throughout March. It's one of my favorite animals. I'm so excited we get to celebrate them today with you. If you don't know, my name is Brittany Sweeney and I am the communications manager with the Livestock Conservancy. I could not be more excited to have some super special guests here with me today. We've got Jeanette Behringer, our senior program manager, and Tom Watkins from Mcmurray Hatchery. Yay, we're so glad you're both here. Talk about chickens. It's going to be great. And next, you have a very special guest, surprise guest that we didn't know about until like 2 minutes ago.
He just kind of flew in from out of town, you know. I am so tickled to have you here, Tom. You know, you're almost considered chicken royalty when it comes to Murray Mcmurray, and we're just so thrilled to have you here. You know, everybody that gets it looks forward to the catalog every spring, and here's my buddy here. This is my special guest. This is my ambassador in training. His name's Valentino, and he's a Crevecoeur rooster. And I'm happy to say some of his relatives actually are living with Murray Mcmurray as part of their breeding flock. And, you know, we're just thrilled to have you. And as I was saying was, you know, I got my catalog. Woohoo! All excited. Beautiful job. You know, spring's in the air when you get your Mcmurray catalog. And you know, I hear time and time again how everybody looks forward to it. Even if they're not getting chickens, it's always fun to just go through the catalog and dream. And so welcome to the show. And I'm just so excited. And I guess, you know, I'd love to start off with, you know, you guys have been around for over 100 years now. I think it's 103 years or 104 years now. How did the hatchery get started?
So the namesake is Murray Mcmurray. So Murray Mcmurray was a young man, poultry enthusiast, and he was a showman. So he showed a lot of his breeds that he raised. And he's got a couple of gold ribbons from the state fair. Just, I don't know, the purple, I'm not sure what color they specifically are, purple ribbons. Grand champion in showmanship and breeds. And so in 1917, he produced a catalog and was selling his breeding stock. And I think that initial catalog was, you know, one-page pamphlet, but it had 5 or 6 different breeds on it that he sold locally to farms. And in turn, those farms would bring him eggs so he could, you know, continue to produce the same breeding stock every year. So yeah, 1917 was the official start. That was the catalog, the first catalog. He'd done that. I think he was 20 at the time. So there's a lot of in between.
You know, what do you attribute to the long success of the hatcheries? I mean, it's a rare thing for a business to survive that long, and it seems like you know, you're as popular as ever. How has it been so successful over the years?
I'd like to say that our quality is superior. That is something we strove to, and actually we've maintained 35 of the original breeds from Murray's stock for the last 100 years. So that's a pretty significant feat in itself, you know, to maintain one line of genetics.
What are some of those breeds?
So some of the original ones, Murray's favorite bird. So that was the Black Minorca. So that was his prize winning bird. I think that got him a lot of sales specifically. You know, and in that time, it was, you didn't need just a pretty bird. You needed birds that produced. So you needed egg quality because these were farms, you know. Everyone who got birds, while you might show your birds, you needed to be a producer as well. It wasn't a hobby. It wasn't a side piece. It was part of your livelihood, that you required eggs to sell for grocery money or something. So being very productive birds, but also the toppest quality birds to go to to fairs and show. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a.
Now, how did you get involved in the poultry business?
I married into it. So yeah, I mean, that's the honest truth is me specifically, and my father-in-law is Bud Wood, who was the co-owner. He was partners with the grandson of Murray Mcmurray, in the early 90s and into the 2000s. And when Murray, the grandson, retired in 2012, Bud Wood took over. And then actually in 2013, I came on. And with actually no intention of being an owner or a manager or anything, I built the incubators that we are currently using. So kind of an incubation specialist, I guess. So now, I guess. So yeah, it's an important part of a hatchery.
And were you involved?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But that's we toot my own hair. We gained 4% hatchability on the incubators that I put in. So that's a pretty big feat in rare breed poultry.
All right,
a big feat. That's a significant number of birds.
That's fantastic.
Sure. Were you involved with poultry as a young man?
No, I grew up in a very small town, about 200 people. So we were incredibly rural. I worked as a hired hand on many farms, but no, outside of this, I had no poultry experience. So it's just things that I picked up, here, working here, and I'll kind of talk about we'll back up a step too, is our two hatchery managers have been here a combined 85 years or 90 years. So the same kind of knowledge that, they worked on farms growing up, because everybody did, and they worked at the hatchery and they just learned what you needed to know, what our expectations were, breeds. And, we've had 100 breeds for 50 years or more. So you just learn specific traits and individual, breed characteristics, hand-me-down knowledge from Murray and to John to Charles to Murray again, and then down to me. So
since you've been there, have you developed any favorites?
I have taken upon myself to, I feel like for a while we're really stagnant on adding new breeds, and so a lot of the breeds that we've added over the last 8 years since I've been here have started in my backyard. So I'm kind of fond of all of those. Anytime you get a new line or something, or a new breed specifically, you kind of need to prove the prodigy, that is what is advertised. Everything is what we're advertising it as. So I'd go through several generations myself, and just an incubator on my counter or in my basement, growing out different breeds. That's included, like the Bielefelders are one. I really enjoyed that as a breed. Very kind of nice, gentle giants. That's a kind of a new breed too. Not necessarily new, but it's only 40 years old. Black Langtions have always been a favorite since just working in the barns as well, and just the absolute stately mannered. They look, the mannerisms of them is absolutely beautiful birds. Huge long tails, really cascading tails. It's and the iridescent sheen of them. I love the Black Langtions. Very tall birds, very stately birds. But,
yeah, that's one thing that you can't mistake is the silhouette of one. It's very unique in the chicken world, and the great thing about the Langshans is they have a really active breed club. So if there's a chicken that you want to get involved with an excellent breed club, the Langshans one that I always recommend to folks. And the other remarkable thing about the Langshan I find is, of all the big Oriental breeds, it's the one that can really handle the heat better than like the Brahma or the Cochin.
Yep.
So I think they're really useful birds and lovely. Now you've taken the reins of the company. That must feel like a big responsibility. How does that feel, and what's your vision for the future?
Yeah, and when you think about the chicken genetics, and you can go through a number of generations, and you can see the work that you put into it really quickly. That's what's really nice about chickens. But the opposite is true too. You can see, defects taking hold, and you can know how long those things take to get rid of, and it's pretty daunting. So we're one of the things I'm really passionate about it is keeping to the standard. So we are working really closely with the APA, and we actually have a poultry judge who works for us to help keep our flocks at what we a standard level or better. Anybody who does shows knows that it's almost
well, that's fabulous.
Yeah. So, and I'd like to continue to add breeds, but currently I'm out of barn space, so it's really it's hard to.
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. We've traded some genetics.
Yeah, I'm always some of the old timers. Some of the old timers I talk to, they say plan for as many stalls as you think you're going to need, and then double it.
We've put 3 barns up in 4 years, and so they're 60 by 300 foot barns, and they hold anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 breeders. And we filled those up. So
wow.
Which is odd. I was kind of going through the history before this, and I was reading an old catalog, because that's the best history we have. We have catalogs from the beginning. That in 1926, Murray had 32,000 breeding hens. And we are just slightly above that now. We're about 35,000 breeding hens. So we haven't actually gained breeders in the last 90 years. So that was kind of a surprise.
And how do you actually choose what breeds come in and which ones go? Like, do you choose them for look or utility or both, or how do you choose? It must be a daunting challenge. You want them all.
No, that is a real case. We can adjust our flock sizes yearly, and some of that we do by our customer demand. If we got a lot of, we couldn't carry enough blue lace red Wyandottes for 10 years. So I think we finally saturated the market with that particular breed. But the customer, at the end of the day,
they are pretty.
Customer demand is it, and so we really track. We try to size our flocks so we meet the demand and not exceed it, and that's probably why we've not actually gone up. As people, you get, and it's the same with all of the breeds. There's waning and waxing, interest in a lot of these breeds. The Crevecoeur on your lap is proof of that. Is a very, very popular breed of dual purpose bird, and now it's only starting to be become popular again, or at least but it came to the point it was almost unsavable. It was, you know, extremely critically endangered. So that's something that I've kind of taken upon myself, is to really look at, you know, not necessarily just what the consumer market is looking for, but you know, a conservationist point of view. I want to have these breeds, you know, available for generations, or the next generation for sure. So, and that's really
now, are all the barns in one place, or do you you have them spread out at different farms?
yeah. So we have multiple farms, and they are all within an hour of us here in the middle of Iowa. So all of our breeder flocks are managed by us. So all of the selecting, all of the culling, all of the managing of the, you know, vaccination cycles, things like that is done by us here. The day-to-day chores are done by farmers, egg pickup and feeding and things like that. So, and that's the way it kind of was with Murray in the beginning. You know, they'd take you know, here's a flock of 100 birds, and we get the eggs, and you take care of them, and we'll do everything else. So it's maintained that. One of our flock farmers, our farmers is third generation. They've been with us for 60 years. We have a second generation one, and they're going on about 30 years.
Wow.
And then I said we recently built a number of barns that I kind of manage those personally. So yeah, everything's right here in just outside Webster City, real close. We don't have
Okay.
all the chickens. So
Now, last year, people went crazy for chickens and really had the hatcheries hopping for some of the rare breeds that you offer. When do you suggest people order their chicks so they're sure to get them?
You know, when you get the catalog in the mail, that's a pretty good time to call. We can take orders for any point during the year. You can order from February to October. Our rare breed stuff usually goes from February to about July 4th. And that's when we'll put down our breeders for the following year. So because we don't have a lot of barns and we don't outsource our flocks or our brooding, we need those same buildings to brood our chicks in. So those are the first in, first out. So yeah, the earlier the better. And you can order put it in for later, you know, put it in March, April, May, June. And if you're showing your birds, you know, obviously you want to get them as early as possible. So with really high demand, we are sold out at probably a minimum of 6 weeks in advance. So don't try to get chickens for Easter.
Wow. One of the big misconceptions of people that I hear all the time, and I wanted to chat a bit about it, is, you know, people like, how can you ship chicks in the mail? And, you know, people, you know, are under the, they've got the idea that the animals are going to starve to death, or they're going to freeze to death, or can you talk a little bit about that so that people understand that, you know, there's biological reasoning behind how you can do this safely and humanely?
Yeah, chicks are incredibly tough. You know, if they were hatched under a mama hen, you know, she's going to sit on that clutch until every last bird is hatched. So she's not getting up and getting those birds to food. And, you know, when she's laying an egg, she only lays an egg a day. And so when she's sitting on a clutch, things can take longer to hatch. You could spread that hatch cycle out for a number of days. So biologically, the chicks are designed to be able to go 2 to 3 days without food or water because of how they develop in the egg. So the chicks develop out of the white, and the yolk is strictly a protein or a food sac, and they feed off that yolk. And right before they hatch, they envelop that yolk through their abdomen, and you can kind of see there's a little belly button there. And so that provides them for 72 hours of food and water. And so as it is sitting under a mother hen, we hatch in a much closer window. We actually set our eggs almost a full day apart when we're putting them in the incubator. So when they hatch, they are all on time. There's a very short window when actually we can get all the birds to hatch. And so that way we were able to ship them through the United States Post Office in a timely, safely manner. We've been doing that since 1926 was the first time the U.S. Post Office was allowed to take day-old poultry. And at that point, it went over trains. So it wasn't until the 80s.
Now, you just spent a couple of hair-raising couple of weeks with the post office putting an embargo on shipping live birds. And the last time I talked to you, you were moving heaven and earth to try and get chicks to their new owners. Is the embargoes now ended and you can go back to business as usual?
Yep. You're right. We did move heaven and earth. We managed to kind of save a tremendous amount of our hatched birds and get them to the customers who need them. As kind of the pandemic has proved, we are an essential part of the food supply, not just eggs, but, meat as well. And so a lot of farmers require, to get their birds in a timely manner. So yes, there was a postal embargo, but it only was for flying. And specifically, it was only flying on the FedEx. So we were able to secure some commercial airline flights, which was kind of limited to areas. So we got a number of orders out on that. And then we actually drove all the way across the middle of the country. We drove from Wyoming and Montana. We drove from Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri. We drove to Michigan. We dropped in Detroit, Indiana, Illinois, and then Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Iowa. Of course, we're here in Iowa. So we were able to get about 80% of our orders out that way. And then we did have a chick sale. Woo! So we put in a tremendous amount of work last week in order to get things where they needed to go. And we did it. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah, well, kudos to you, because I can't imagine the amount of work that took, and coordination, and a real team effort. I'm sure everybody kind of pitched in to take on driving duties, and kudos to you. Another thing I wanted to ask about, I have come across your
Uh-oh.
Jeanette must be having some internet issues today.
Educational blogs on you.
Yeah, so
I think Jeanette's trying to ask about how you determine the content.
And really a nice little information.
Yeah, so the blogs are primarily written by our staff here. We have a couple guest writers that will chime in. One of our kind of focuses for the last couple years has been on what we consider homesteaders. So people who are looking to be more self-sufficient, either grow their own food or grow, eggs or meat or produce, and kind of either make a living or get back to their agrarian roots of things. So we focused a lot on that. At some point, to me, it seems like we repeat ourselves often, because, that's not new to me. We've talked about that, but what we know about our customers is that about every 3 to 4 years, we get about 50% new customers. So while we're we're covering the basics again and again. We try not to overlap too much, but you overlap quite a bit. So anybody who answers chicken questions, no, you're going to get answered the same question a lot. You just kind of keep answering the same questions over and over.
That's okay. We love answering the same question over and over again. We're always excited to get new people excited about chickens.
Yes. Yep. And I think that's one thing we really, really strive to be is a resource, and not just a hatchery, and not just a place to get birds, but to best take care of those birds. And that partners with the Livestock Conservancy on what the purpose of chickens really is, and why it's important to save individual breeds, and why it's it's important to have the diversity, and that's 100% up to Livestock Conservancy's mission. So and that ties into ours as well.
That's wonderful. We're so lucky to work with some amazing partners like you.
Yeah.
So. Mm-hmm. Jeanette, are you back? She might still be frozen.
Thank you for. It's just amazing. Just amazing that we're about to launch that at the end of the month. If all things lighted about it, it's going to be a complete poultry census, all the different species.
I think Jeanette is trying to
a really good picture of what's different breeds, and so that we can use that for the years ahead.
I think what Jeanette was trying to say was that we're about to launch our 2021 Poultry Census, which we're super duper excited about. And that's going to cover all the breeds. It's going to be coming out later this month. And Mcmurray is amazing and is sponsoring the census. And we couldn't be more excited about that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's, and that's, I kind of, Jeanette had asked about our, my goal, is kind of being the head of Mcmurray Hatchery right now. And that's it. I'm a conservationist at heart. So, if you have an opportunity to do something, or, don't let it go to waste. So let's get a good count of what's available and what's out there. And we know what to work on. You don't know what to work on if you don't have those resources like the Livestock Conservancy in order to do this poultry census. So
absolutely. Jeanette, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about with the census?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to questions out there?
Yeah, we can do questions. Let's see. I think we've got a few that have come through.
Just keep your eyes peeled for it. We'll be making the audience.
Yes, stay tuned for more census information coming later this month. So we'll let everybody know how to participate in that. Let's see, what questions do we have come in here? Hi, Amber. Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you're here. Amber wants to know, how did Mcmurray go about developing the Americana line they offer? I got 17 from you this year, and they are unusual colors and have grown out well.
Talk about a controversial question.
I'm sorry.
So, and I'll tell you, this is people have a lot of questions about the Americana and what that really entails. And a lot of people get really picky about this specific breed. And in the 1960s 70s, late 1970s, we got our first Americana line. When we called Aracanas Americanas, so it was a cross between the Aracanas, which are rumpless blue egg layers, and the Americanas, which have the beards and muffs and a full tail. And the Aracanas had tufts. So it was selected to be a colorful egg layer. And so we coined the term Easter egger to describe the colorful eggs that these lines produced. At that time, there was no Americana as a breed or color variations. So we've actually maintained this line kind of as is, as a multicolored line. We have selected out the Araucana types. So we've selected 4 Americana, so the beards and muffs and full tails. We do occasionally get rumpless birds, and we will occasionally get tufts as well. So the tufts kind of stick out. Because that's in the genetics of the line. We have recently started to select for color due to the heavily suggested groups. An Americana is a breed, and along with that breed, there are color types. And so we have always had a mixed flock because we're very old and we're very stubborn. So, so we are selecting colors currently, but to get good colors, that is a struggle in itself. I can do black and I can do white because those are the primary dominant and recessive colors. So those are easily selected for. Wheaten and blue wheaten and black-breasted are color ones. Blue specifically, we have a blue Americana. And that is a line we had gotten from a poultry judge in Texas. So it is an old line we've had for a very long time. We are currently trying to, upgrade our selection to a more specific color pattern. They're very pretty birds, though. I will say that. So, no.
Well, thank you, Amber, and thanks, Chop.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Easter egger is now kind of means mutt to many people, because that is what a number of other hatcheries have sold as an Easter egger, is a cross, a blue egger cross, and that's what would be what I considered like the whiting line to be, but not our Americana line is still selected for Americana type, just not color.
All right.
That's my little spiel.
Love it. Great. Hi, Krista. Thanks for joining us today. We're glad you're here. Krista says, Thomas, I love your chicken barn quilt. That's fantastic.
Those were painted for us by a local painter, actually out of Des Moines. We hired, and we had a very limited number of those. I gotta have one. I have a big one at home on the barn, but it is very nice. Thank you.
I love it. Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for joining us today. We're glad you're here.
I had to put Tino down. He was getting hot. Man, those chicken bodies are hot.
They're very warm.
I'm sweating.
Chicken's internal body temp is 100.
They are.
So they're a lot warmer than people.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah.
Kathleen wants to know.
I was very proud of him. He sat there really well.
He did a good job. Yeah, he was very calm.
It's a good bird.
Yeah.
Kathleen wants to know.
Yeah, I just bribed him with hush puppies.
Hush puppies always works. I like those cheap. Are you going to offer Java chickens in the future?
Maybe. You have to convince me. I don't have. I've not currently looked for a source of Javas. They're very, very pretty. We carried Javas in the 1930s, I believe. One of a long time ago lines. I'm not sure when or what time those were not carried, but Very pretty birds. I don't know all the economic qualities of them specifically. With the census coming up, maybe we can get a better handle on that too.
Thanks, Kathleen. Amber says she loves her Americanas, and she was very excited. Nicole, thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you're here. Nicole loves the Crev Corps attendee. They have 3 10-month-olds from Mcmurray, and they're lovely.
All right, thank you very much.
Let's see. Hi, Mandy. Thanks for joining us today. Mandy says, a friend told me that chicks that were hatched via incubator will not become broody hens willing to hatch out babies. That being incubated messes them up. Is this incorrect?
It is incredibly incorrect. I can't keep a number of breeds from becoming broody. It is nearly impossible to get a silkie to not be a broody hen. If anybody knows anything about silkies, you know that they are incredibly broody, and we have been incubating them and hatching them since the dawn of time. That's kind of a breed. It's a breed specific trait, but it's also a hen specific trait. So each hen has its own kind of personality as well. Breeds, I can generalize breeds and tell you these tend to be broodier than other breeds. Now that's I would say that's false. I don't know that there's any truth to that, but I know that our silkies I call them a carpet because you have to physically move them. They're just this carpet of chickens, and there's the eggs under there. So you're picking up the birds and you're getting the eggs, and the other ones are trying to scoop all the eggs they can find. They are broody.
Well, thank you, Mandy. That was a good question. Like that we're myth busting here. That's always good. Are there any other misconceptions people might want to know?
That's a good question. So one I hear a lot is that the pointier eggs are the females and the rounder eggs are male. And that's not the case. You know, a hen lays a certain type of egg. Like we could go back in the back and I could tell you like, oh, the Orpingtons they look pretty similar across an egg type. And in a specific hen, if it lays a pointy hen, that hen will always lay a pointy egg. Minorcas lay a little bit pointier egg. Polish, I think, lay kind of a pointier egg, and that isn't male or female. That's just the type of egg the hen lays. So people argue that one.
I had not heard that. That's very interesting. Let's see. Hi, David. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, that was not a question. Hi, Benny. Thanks for joining us today. She says, Are you on schedule with shipments this week?
Yeah. So
a little bit about shipping earlier.
Yeah. So we're looking really good this week. It's going to be a great week across the United States weather-wise. So we're on track. We are a little bit backed up because of the last 2 weeks. So we have a few orders to make up, but we will get a lot of orders out this week. So I don't foresee any issues here.
All right. Be on the lookout, Penny.
Yep.
I think we have one more question come in. Hi, Buddy. Thanks for joining us today. Buddy says, I truly appreciate the time they spend on communication. It is fun to watch them live putting together orders. So do you have a live cam for packing up orders?
We were doing a weekly Facebook Live just with myself and our marketing gal, Ginger, and we haven't done it for a few weeks. That I didn't do it yesterday, and I probably should have. We just go back and look at chicks and talk about chicks and kind of watch what happens on a hatch day. We don't have live cams. I could absolutely do that. I was contacted a while ago about a group that of people who watch live cams. They want in the incubator so you could watch the eggs hatch. And that is pretty neat, but what kind of started it was there was a eagle nest, and that they had this cam on this eagle nest, and they had a really, really big following of people who who are just watching these eagles hatch, and then what else can we watch hatch? Like, so, well, thank you, Buddy Anderson. Yep, I enjoyed doing that and getting in everybody's way while they're working.
Well, it's so fun. It's always exciting. A little behind the scenes. Mandy says, people who can sex chickens amaze me. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, so that is a skill. It's a very hard-earned skill. We hire professional sexers who come from quite a ways. They travel quite a bit in order to do this for us weekly, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. So we're incredibly grateful and incredibly impressed as myself that we can do that.
Let me see. Jeanette, are you back with us? I think she was having some issues. I think that's all the questions that have come in. Is there anything that maybe we forgot to ask you that you'd like to talk about?
I could. I don't know. I don't think so. So yeah, I don't know. We're excited to help with the Livestock Conservancy. We've always been a partner with you guys, and excited to work with or help sponsor the Poultry Census. Let us know where the state of the breeds are across the United States here. Does that include Canada or North America, or is that just strictly in the United States?
I think it is just in the US, but we were going to try and coordinate something with Canada. I think that they were also going to be doing a census very soon, so we might be able to get those numbers with them as well. We are hoping to launch the census later this month. We don't have details yet. So everyone asking for all that information, we really appreciate you, but we don't have a way to sign up for it yet. Yes, somebody just wrote in and said it was just in the US. So I appreciate that. Thank you, team, for watching. But we will be sending out an email later this month with all those details about how to talk about the chickens that you do have. That way we can make sure that all of your hens and roosters get counted, and all of your breeding pairs. This is really important so that we can know how many are here and where they move up and down on our conservation priority list, and continue our conservation efforts. So we hope everyone that has chickens and tuned in today will be able to participate. Of course, that's it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors like Mcmurray. This is all very important work. And I think that is, wait, let's see. Somebody wrote in and said, in 2015, over 1,000 poultry enthusiasts responded to the poultry census. So we're hoping for more this time.
I think there's a growing, that's one thing we kind of advocate too, is if you're going to get into poultry, and it's kind of the same path that I followed, it's fun to have backyard birds and that, but if you're going to be into poultry, like you can become a steward of a breed, you could have your own, within a couple of years, you'd have your own flock, that you can show definite improvement or anything on that. And at that point, you're part of the poultry consensus too. So,
absolutely. Well, it looks like we had a couple more questions come in. Do you have time for a few more?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining us today. She missed the first part, but what are the best egg-producing chickens?
So there's a couple answers. the chicken who holds the record for the most eggs produced is a black Australorp hen, and out of the 1 year, it laid 364 eggs.
Oh, wow.
And some of that depends on your husbandry style. So if you're in a climate that has long winters, providing supplemental light will help increase egg production. But generally, so you'll probably talk about hybrids or like a sex link, or so. Pearl white leghorns are your grocery store white egg layers. They are prolific layers. We have a red star, which is a red sex link. They are very, very prolific layers. And I find that out of our stock, those are the better layers, even out of the heritage breeds. But you're going to get more eggs up front and less eggs, out in the long term. But so it's kind of a trade-off. It depends on what you want, in your husbandry style.
Sure. Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, Karina. Thanks for joining us today. She wants to know, what are some of your favorite breeds for backyard growers?
Yeah. If you're new to chickens, I say start with your heavier brown egg laying breeds. Your Orpingtons, your Plymouth Rocks, the Rhode Island Reds, New Hampshire Reds, Delawares. They're very hardy birds, do good in any region. That they're very easy birds to take care of and manage. They don't need a ton of space or a ton of time. They're just nice birds. They're very pretty. You get a mixed flock of those, and it is very pretty to have in your backyard. Yard art is what that is. So
Call mine lawn ornaments.
yeah.
Just like to watch them wandering around the backyard and
You don't have bugs and spiders anymore. So
that's very true. Thank you, Karina. Let's see. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining us today. Tracy says, Mcmurray has been a very dependable hatchery. I appreciate y'all very much. My grandfather ordered from Murray Mcmurray. I have also over the years.
No, thank you. That's our goal, is to continue that tradition. So
that's wonderful. Thank you for that great testimonial. I think we've got one more. Hi, Verna. Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you're here. Crevcore. I'm late, so not sure if you covered it or not. This breed is one I'm interested in breeding within the next year. I've heard that when looking for standards, random white feathers are not favorable.
I'm sure Jeanette's dying to answer this, but that's almost any black breed. So it kind of depends on where the feather is at specifically, whether that's a disqualification or just if it's a defect itself, or maybe a point. So yeah, no, obviously in black birds, you're going to look for solid black breeders without any. And I get kind of picky here because I know a number of judges say that's just showmanship. You just pluck that feather. But don't do that. From a breeder standpoint, you take care of your flocks and don't breed those specific things, whether that's considered a defect or a default or something like that. But
thank you, Verna. Great question. I think we've got one more testimonial. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining us today. The ornamental layers variety from Mcmurray will give you that wonderful lawn ornament aesthetic and plenty of eggs.
Yep. So those are selected for bird color specifically, not just egg color, but they're very, very pretty assortment.
That is true. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you again for your time and knowledge. And I know I learned a lot today.
Yep.
And I'm going to do some shameless plugs. So you can find Murray Mcmurray online at their website here. So please go there, order some chickens. They have lots of varieties, both egg producers and lawn ornaments. And you can find them online, social media, at Murray Mcmurray. And if you've got more questions for Tom and the team over there, they're happy to answer those.
Anytime.
All right. And if you're not a member of the Livestock Conservancy, please consider becoming a Livestock Conservancy member. Our wonderful, amazing members and supporters help make chicken chats like this possible. So if you would like more information about that, please let us know. And thank you for tuning in today. We hope you'll tune in again next week with some more fun chicken chats. And have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.